Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, and welcome to Wednesday, March 28th, 2012, with a nasty-looking storm approaching downtown Pittsburgh as we speak.
Yes.
Already heard the thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
And one of those clouds looks like Scalia's head from here. Storm clouds approaching. Scalia's head. He does. His head. I was looking at a photo of him yesterday. Like he's got a chin on his double chin. Like he does. He's got kind of a cumulonimbus like face.
He looks toad-like a bit, doesn't he?
I'm afraid
he
does. And he's like, I don't even like necessarily. I think he would be fun to hang out.
Oh yeah, no, I think
like
he'd probably be a
great
lot
sense
of fun.
of humor.
Right. If you didn't talk politics,
yeah,
it'd be fun. Okay, so you've already thrown in the towel.
No, I haven't really.
It's over.
I'm all just
Potter's already. He's getting.
Did you? It was bad. It wasn't
ready.
Great.
Yeah,
it was not great.
Apparently
I don't know if you.
not. I didn't listen to the whole thing.
I listened to it, and it was really the first time I've listened to something, and I was astounded. Like I feel like I could have gotten up there
and done better
and done about as well as the Solicitor General
or something.
Yeah, I thought their lawyer was quite good on the other side. He was quite good, but he sounded like he was nervous from the moment he got up. He was stammering almost from the very first sentence.
Did you get the impression that the liberal justices were jumping in to help him out?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll see kind of one side or the other try to shore up the argument because they don't feel like the lawyer made it as well as it could be made.
Right.
So both sides have done that, but yes, it was conspicuous that Breyer and some of the others on the more liberal side were doing that. Yeah.
Well, I figure all of this will happen whether or not I become
that is
insane,
true.
Crazy,
right.
Go nuts, watch or don't watch. So I've decided to spare myself the, I'm really sort of looking the other way.
But that whole rationale goes against the very basis of talk radio.
Yes, it does.
Talk radio is premised on the completely fictitious belief that getting really angry and worked up about stuff
does
somehow
get you somewhere.
Somewhere, yes, yeah.
Well, I happened upon an Irma Bombeck, little pearl of wisdom recently, and I swear it is.
She's still writing? Or is it just an
I think
older
she's
thing?
dead.
Oh yeah. Well, it doesn't mean she's not still writing. No, really, that's like those V.C. Andrews books, Flowers in the Attic or whatever. Like, those things, I think they're still being written.
What are you talking about?
Because what happens is the estate does this. Or an example of, the book Goodnight Moon, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we have Goodnight Moon because we have a child, and it's apparently like every parent has to have these books. So I was in a bookstore the other day, and I saw there was another book that was attributed to Margaret Brown, who's the writer of Goodnight Moon. And I actually been through it, I was like, wow, this doesn't really sound like Margaret Brown, the Margaret Brown I know from such works as Runaway Bunny, for example. It just didn't have her, that special something. She does je ne sais quoi, as they say. And I flipped it, and then what it said was like her daughter-in-law who wrote it. Like on the inside page was her daughter-in-law as part of the Margaret Brown Trust or whatever. So you can have people writing books under other people's names, even though they're not like the
You're
people.
Kidding.
No. V.C. Andrews, who wrote Flowers in the Attic, that's like there's a whole slew of books that were written by her estate after she died.
That seems like bait and switch. That seems like it shouldn't be.
It does seem really problematic. And I was really upset with the Margaret Brown thing because I thought, come on, are we misleading our children before they're even old enough to?
Yeah.
So I don't know what to. I mean, I just don't know what to do. Anyway, you were saying you were writing something by Irma Bombeck, and she said.
And she said, worry is like a rocking chair.
Okay.
It gives you something to do.
Right.
But it gets you nowhere. Okay?
Very
and I decided, oh my God, that's so right. And so, I really, every time I find myself worrying, I say, okay, wait a minute. Is this going to get you anywhere? And generally the answer is no. My other question, my follow-up question is can you in any way alter the outcome of whatever it is you are currently worrying about? And often the answer is no. So I stop. It's wasted energy.
I predict by the end of the show, I will be quoting that rocking chair thing back at you. That's my prediction.
Oh, you think I'm going
Jess,
to get
I think you're going to get
before?
upset about something, and I am going to turn to you and say this.
Here's a quote for you. I just came upon it. The vagina has become so real, so present, so powerful that people are going after it directly.
I know I have ever since I turned 18. Who said that exactly? And what was it? Maybe we should provide some context.
I think Eve Ensler.
Oh, yes, the vagina monologue.
The vagina monologue.
Yes.
But I think... wait, somebody sent this to me. Okay. There's something called the Snatchel Project. Hang on.
Okay, all right.
I just sent this by, I'm sorry, who sent me this? God bless you. I'll give you full credit in just a minute. Yikes!
Holy
Did you see
mackerel.
that? Don't worry, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
The Snatchel Project. If I am
That was
doomed
the lightning, yeah,
to die
of
by
course.
lightning strike, then so be it. The Snatchel Project tells you, women, or men if you're inclined, how to knit or crochet a vagina.
I bet that would be an interesting challenge.
I know how to
after
knit.
Perspective.
I can do that. Or they could, if you don't want to do a vagina, you can do a uterus.
Those are two great choices.
Yes. What do you want, honey? A vagina or a uterus?
Right.
You want what color? And what you do is you knit your vagina or uterus, and then you send it to one of, whatever male member of Congress that you want to. Because the feeling is that if that male member has a vagina of his own, then maybe he can leave mine alone, right? Yeah. Give him a vagina so he'll stop wanting to bother with mine.
A vagina of their own. Wasn't that a film? Maybe I got the details confused.
So anyway, this is the Snatchel Project. It's from a site called Government Free VJJ. I can't imagine. I don't know what that would be.
Haven't you ever heard of vagina referred to as a vajayjay?
Oh, a vagina.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm the one who was in the vagina monologue, so I have that whole long list. Kristen, thank you for that.
I like it. I think it would be. I would have to imagine that it would be a little challenging to knit those things. I mean, I took a home ec class in 7th grade, and I could barely do a turtle. Like a flat turtle pillow.
Oh, see, all I'm good at is I knit everybody's scarves because that's very. There's not much to do. I just simply know how to knit. So a vagina, yes, and a uterus would be. There'd be curvature to it.
Yeah, we were surprised when we took a prenatal class, and a lot of the demonstration objects were woolen, which surprised us. Like they had
demonstrating
like the birthing process and stuff, because I guess it was sort of
because it
flexible,
gives, right,
gives.
right.
So
right.
Yeah.
So
but that was I remember thinking to myself, I wonder I wonder whose job it is
to make those,
to crochet those things together or whatever it is.
Well, you know what? Some woman.
Some
Exactly.
woman. Some probably in Indonesia or something.
Yeah, is crocheting vaginas for.
You could use them as hand warmers. Maybe
for American women who have to be schooled on how to do what women have been doing since day one without schooling. Think about that.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, so back to the Supremes.
Supreme Court. Yeah.
Back to the Supremes. I was thinking, is it a possibility that if they were to scuttle the law, that would actually, while it appears, so often something that looks like a disaster turns out to be an opportunity. Right?
Is that another Irma Bombeck line?
No, it's not. She was funnier than that.
Yeah.
So it's, I was wondering if, then maybe we'll see, given what their problems were with the law, which is what you were saying when you came in. It sounds like that if we had done a single payer system, they wouldn't have had the problems.
Yeah, that's the irony is that, so you get this attorney representing the states who are opposed to this thing.
Right.
And he was basically asked, well, okay, and I forget who asked him. I think it was one of the liberal justices said, would a single payer plan be acceptable from a constitutional perspective? And he said very flatly, yep, yes.
Well, then why don't we do it?
Because what's constitutionally permissible isn't
not politically
permissible. And that's the irony. The flip side of that is at one point, the attorney for the solicitor for the United States for the administration said, he found it ironic that he was, that the argument against this law is, it's so unprecedented, it's this sweeping thing. And he said, the irony here is we took the policy route that left intact the existing insurance industry.
Right.
We did sort of the least invasive
bent over
thing,
backwards.
The sort of least invasive, least disruptive thing when we intervened, and now somehow that's being held against us, and that's exactly true.
That's true.
That's exactly right. That is exactly what happened.
Right.
So, I think that's the other, and I think the other thing, and this may be where the one sliver of hope, it seems to me, going into this is everybody thought, well, Justice Kennedy, he's always a swing vote. He actually sounded more critical than, say, John Roberts did. And if there's and other people, I've seen other people have said this too, and it just struck me this way. Of all of the justices, Roberts was the one who probably asked tough questions of both sides. And he seemed to say there was one point where the attorney for the plaintiffs for the states was characterizing the Obama law, and Roberts said, "You're not being fair to their position." And their position is, is that this is a really difficult market. And the context of that was this attorney was talking about, well, what are the other options? So a single payer is an option. The argument of these of the people opposed to this rule is, look, it's not the uninsured that are causing the problems; it's the people who don't pay their hospital bills, and not every uninsured person doesn't pay their hospital bill because not every uninsured person has to go to the hospital. And some of those who do go pay out of their pocket, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you really want to punish something, well, okay, so what's the answer to this? So if it's not single payer, what's the answer? And he said, well, you could require people to buy insurance at the moment.
Yes, I know, at the emergency room.
Which, of course, is, nobody is absurd. And I think there were some remarks from Roberts that indicated he understood that, oh, sure, you can make that requirement, but who's going to insure somebody like that? They're going to charge you $100,000 for your insurance policy, and nobody is going to be in a position to come up with $100,000 to pay it off. So I think so if there's any hope here, it's that Roberts, who's also sensitive to this accusation, apparently, and this is just what I've heard from other people and read and things, that Roberts, of all of the people on this court, is probably sensitive to the perception that
it's politicized.
And so and Kennedy, I think maybe if you just sort of do some armchair psychoanalysis, Kennedy's credentials as a swing justice are pretty well established at this point. He may not feel like he has to worry about that the same way a guy like Roberts might feel. So I think Roberts is aware of the issues. And let's face it, all of the legal analysis that I've seen leading up to this just says this legally
is constitutional.
It is absolutely. It's just almost a no-brainer.
Well, so then why not believe that Kennedy and Roberts are not going to, that they're going to fairly listen? Why assume that questions asked
Right.
are indicative.
Well, this is always the.
But I mean, that is true. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a student of the court, but I bet if you were to go back and look at some of the questions that are asked in big cases
Right.
and who they are asked by, and then look at how they then later. I don't know if there's a correlation between a difficult question and
Right.
how a person's gonna.
I think
vote.
that's been truer in the past than it is true of this particular group of justices, because people were addressing that yesterday, and then some of the legal scholars said, generally speaking, that has been true, that you couldn't necessarily tell, but with this court, they're a little more predictable than previous courts have been. So the fact, and remember too,
well,
I think
Scalia, for one, my understanding of his questioning, it was just like it was almost as though he were arguing the case for for
Scalia. There is no, and the sad thing is, if you go back and you look, I mean, maybe some of us on the to the left of center were fooling ourselves here, that we thought that
right,
because the administration couched its arguments including in precedents that Scalia himself had authored or signed, that somehow he would feel bound to be consistent. And I don't think anybody. I think that's what's really sunk in as a result of yesterday is that's not true. That a lot of the optimism that people had that said, okay, this shouldn't be a big stretch constitutionally, now realize that as far as the justices are concerned, it is.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Of course, Clarence Thomas didn't say boo, right?
No, he did not. No.
What a jerk.
So I guess he could do anything.
Oh, yes. Well, maybe
he could come down on either side of the issue.
I guess he will. What a jerk. Okay, now you're coughing.
Yeah, I'm still getting over a thing.
Jeez. They should put quarantine tape around your house.
You don't have to invite me on your show,
No, I do. Okay. So, look, here's the reality. We can hem and haw and, beat our, tear our hair and wring our hands. The process is ongoing, and there's nothing we can do.
Right. The new Lynn Cullen.
So let us wait until they hand down hand them down, right?
Yeah.
What is handed up? No, something is handed up in the court system.
Oh, I don't know.
I remember freaking out about that. They
Verdicts?
hand up presentments.
Oh, maybe.
Hand down verdicts.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's some kind of there is a what happened to that storm?
I don't know. I guess it just blew over because we didn't worry about it.
Yes.
Lynn Cullen.
No, it's probably assaulting Millvale as we speak. I just think it didn't come right at us.
Yeah, I'm digging the new Bodhisattva Cullen here. It's just, very above it all, sort of.
Mellow.
Yes.
Meditative. Okay. So you got a paper out today, and I see that, like so many publications, you are focused on the
Trevon Martin situation. Yeah.
Case. I can hardly bear talking about this. I cannot bear talking about when I can talk about it in the abstract, and then when I start talking about it with that one boy, the actual event, I can't bear it. I can't bear it. And he's, representative of so many others. What is the difference? I was with a guy this weekend, brilliant guy, from the Congo, and he was a few years ago. He was speaking at CMU. He's very brilliant, and he was driving home, and he had his African garb on. He was followed by a police car through one stop sign, another stoplight, a third, and finally the guy. And I'm thinking, good God, this is exactly this is exactly what happened to Johnny Gamage. He gets pulled over. Before this was over, there were 3 or 4 more cop cars around him. He was telling them, I'm coming back from a speech at CMU. He had done nothing. And
Was he cited? Did they give him a ticket even?
I don't even, you know what? I don't even remember, but I said, you are so lucky that you didn't end up dead. Dead. This is insane. This has to stop. If this is, somebody likened it to, it's sort of like the way things were when the Fugitive Slave Act was in force.
I saw that comparison.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
And that, stop and think about this. You have a dead black child lying on a sidewalk. You have I don't know why they keep calling this guy white. You have a Hispanic man standing over him with a gun who admits to having killed him, who tells the police, I did it in self-defense, and they say, okay, goodbye.
Right.
What kind of that is the presumption is, of course, is that the black guy lying dead on the sidewalk deserved it.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the conundrum. So would this be the place where I say, don't worry about it? Okay.
No. I'm not worrying. I'm despairing.
Yeah, okay.
That's different.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's more existential.
Oh, I see. I mean, one of the challenges about all of this is because the police down in Sanford, Florida seem either so inept or corrupt or a combination of the two, that it's hard to tell what's the fault of their application of the law and what's the fault of the law itself down there, because the law itself down there,
the law is a shoot to kill black kid law.
Is just awful. I mean, it's worse than Pennsylvania's, which is bad enough,
right?
Because it basically just says,
do you feel threatened? Go ahead, shoot.
Yeah, if there's a reason, if a reasonable person would feel threatened in this situation, then go ahead. And you can see already what's happening. And this is, I mean, I think one of the most, once you get past the tragedy of the shooting itself and kind of sequester that, one of the worst things that's going on now is you're seeing this attempt to discredit Trevon Martin and make him seem like this horrible gangbanger.
He deserved to die because what?
He had some
pot was shown. I said, so?
Yeah.
And he tweeted something. So?
Yeah.
He had no criminal record.
Yeah.
He had good grades in school. Everybody who knew him as a good kid. That they think that these sons of bitches.
Yeah. And I have to say, and I think this point should be noted. I mean, I grew up in Upper St. Clair, and I can tell you there was no shortage of 17-year-olds who had experimented with pot in Upper St. Clair. I think it would be really instructive to tell parents in Upper St. Clair, hey, if your kid may have smoked a joint at some point, really, his being shot down for no good reason is somehow less tragic.
Yes, no,
I think that would.
I mean, he was heading for a life of crime.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of 17-year-olds have tried pot.
Yeah. I mean, and then you've got, and what you're seeing is this whole. I mean, I recently came across a quote from Voltaire who said, "If they can get you to believe absurdities, they can get you to commit atrocities."
Well, there you go.
And you've got Rush Limbaugh the other day saying, George Zimmerman was just too zealous.
Oh, man.
George Zimmerman was too zealous. He was a Law and Order guy, and he let his enthusiasm get the best of him. That's essentially what Rush Limbaugh is saying. That's our political culture. That's just and the shocking thing is I'm not even shocked by it. Like, that's just how it goes.
Well, I despair.
Yes, but you don't worry.
No! Okay. Despair is beyond worry. Despair is something. No, worry. Oh, never mind. No, I despair.
And the thing that struck me, and what I wrote about this, is in a way, Zimmerman's actions are kind of emblematic of the entire gun rights community as a whole.
Because it's a paranoid.
Because they jump at shadows. Yeah. They force these laws that aren't, that aren't being spawned by or prompted by any actual events.
Sort of like voter ID.
Right, exactly like voter ID.
Yeah, right.
You've got the best part to me was Daryl Metcalf, the pride of Cranberry, our state representative, was talking about the need for this bill during the debate last year over it, and he said, we got to take the fear. We got to put the fear into the hearts of criminals, not in the hearts of law-abiding citizens who may be threatened by a rogue prosecutor.
What?
Oh, really? So now Republicans are worried about rogue prosecutors. I anxiously await.
If they shoot their neighbor, then they're worried about
some prosecutor will
come after them
for no good reason, just because prosecutors hate gun bills. So I wait now that there's apparently a recognition on the part of Daryl Metcalf and I guess other Republicans too that rogue prosecutors are a problem. I anxiously await the repeal of the death penalty in the state of Pennsylvania, but we know that's never going to happen, right? I mean, so it's this whole thing of just like trafficking in fear, and you see it on the national level as well.
What they do.
Barack Obama, he's ahead in the polls, and what do you see happening? Spikes in gun sales, just like after he was elected.
Oh my God, you couldn't get ammo anywhere.
And this is
right.
And this is a nationwide phenomenon. Fox News of all places reported it. The Austin Statesman down in Texas has reported on this stuff. I mean, a lot of people are noticing this uptick in gun sales.
So these people, they live their lives in constant fear.
Yes.
And these are the ones who swagger around with their guns.
Exactly.
And they're in a constant state of fear. Fear of that black guy in the White House. Fear that he's going to take their freedom away from them by giving them health care.
Right.
Fear. It's
the same fear. You've got in Trayvon Martin and Barack Obama, you have two black men who back away from confrontations with gun owners, and the gun owners go chasing after them. That's what you've got.
That's right. That is exactly what you have.
Because the only thing that Barack Obama has done with respect to guns is to make it easier to carry them in national parks. That is the sum total of the Obama.
That's true. He has not done one thing. He hasn't said peep. He hasn't peeped about it.
But see, backing away, that just makes them more suspicious, right?
I guess.
Trayvon Martin backed away into the streets, and so he had to be chased. Barack Obama's backing away from guns means that if he's reelected, he won't have to worry about the voters next time around. And so this has all been a ruse. And I'm not exaggerating. This is the rhetoric. His not doing anything on guns in his first term of office is merely a pretext so that he can come take the guns away in the second term.
And that overheard remark with the Russian president sort of proves that. He's saying, hey, when I get reelected, then Katie bar the door.
Yes,
That's when I really do the deeds. That's when I get them.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Yeah, and that's what we're up against. Is just this.
Okay, so you're up against insanity.
Yeah,
you're up against insanity.
Yes.
Mass hysteria.
Enshrined as you just and the thing that strikes me is, as I was kind of doing research for this column, you look at the rhetoric and it's just, you got this guy from the Gun Owners of America who's just like, they're teaching our children to fear the Bill of Rights and to kneel down before the powerful. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. No, it's just this free-floating paranoia, and somehow that's got to do with guns. How? Like, if you seriously think that's what your kids are being taught, run for the frickin' school board. Why is this an argument for change?
They do.
Well, good, fine,
but
at least that makes sense to me.
What they're all about is anxiety production.
Yes.
And what they're very good at is anxiety production.
Yes.
And they get to even sane people eventually. The repetition.
Yeah.
So what you said that Voltaire said is not unlike what Joseph Goebbels said, right? You tell a big lie, make sure it's actually an absurdity, because people will think, well, he wouldn't have said something that outrageous if it weren't true, and then repeat. And yes, it's exactly. I despair. I don't know.
I'm still not sure I accept this distinction between despair and worry, and I don't.
Stop and think about it.
I get
on
it.
On a continuum. We'll put worry right here. Where would despair be? It's way over there.
Okay. Because
and in between would be, I don't know.
All right, I got it.
I mean, stop and think about
it.
Worry is this sort of like, oh, is it going to rain? And, oh, is this going to happen? And, oh, what will the court do? Well, just wait, okay? The court will do something. You have nothing to do with it. When we're talking about these huge, overriding, environmental kinds of things,
then you still shouldn't do anything because we're screwed. Is that the Lynn Cullen political?
No.
I mean, I don't think I'm putting words in your mouth.
Despair is a perfectly reasonable position, but you're right, it doesn't get you anywhere either.
Right. Maybe we should take a commercial. That'll make us feel better.
Would it?
Yeah. I just noticed that it was 10:30, so I thought I'd mention
Is it?
Look, it's going by today.
Jeez. Your loquacious or are you lugubrious?
No, you're lugubrious today.
I was
lugubrious last week.
I once had a fight with our inspector about those two words, and he was right.
Oh, of course he was.
Okay, well, which one is argumentative and which one is talkative?
Loquacious is talkative.
And lugubrious is argumentative?
Well, I've always thought of lugubrious as being pedantic and sort of boring and
that's what you just called me?
No, I said
you called me boring?
No, you called me lugubrious. Or no, wait, did you? No,
I don't know.
You used lugubrious. And I said I was lugubrious last week.
You are a lugubrious, loquacious.
We're going to look up some L words when we come back from this break.
It takes all my words for speech, my speech for words. The despair is getting to me, folks. Okay, all right, we'll run a break. Here's a break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for Tigers Be Still, The Moody Blues, La Nueva Madonna, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com. Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the ballet, opera, city theater, science center, symphony, history museum, and the Carnegie Museums. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. bergbargains.com.
This is the sound of a flat-screen television hurled off a building. Now the new bike your kid wants. These are the things you could have, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Use Energy Star light bulbs and appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com.
Folks, we apologize for the last 10 seconds.
I was doing a Patty Duke. You remember what?
Got a call. Oh, do we?
Hello?
Hello, Lynn.
Yes.
Lynn, I was listening to you, two exalted individuals, and when you hit lugubrious and said it meant argumentative, I thought that doesn't mean argumentative.
Well, what?
And I looked it up on my iPad, and it means excessively mournful, sad. Okay?
Yeah.
It does?
Yes.
Sad.
There you go.
Lugubrious is sad.
Well, okay, I'm generally lugubrious and loquacious.
Well, loquacious, I didn't disagree with you on that, and I'm pretty sure that that's what I always used it as. Somebody's very talkative, yes.
Okay, so lugubrious.
And I'm going to quit talking because someone will accuse me of being a loquacious.
Well, thanks for the call.
Hey, thank you. I don't know why I can't get that word definition in my head. Are there some words that just refuse to allow you to
you know
put
what I
them
always
in your
have trouble
lexicon? With? Which one?
Belie. Like if something belies something, does that mean that it proves that it's not true?
No.
Or does it mean that it...
Oh, wait, yeah.
See,
it contradicts
I see
something.
it used in different ways.
It contradicts.
And then I've never really mentioned
Not,
it. So I never use belie.
Jess, look up belie.
See, but it's one of those things, like, even if you read the definition,
because it's
the
sort of
usage
like
of
it doesn't get
Yeah,
you can't figure it.
Yeah, so I try not to use it.
Okay.
Disguise or contradict?
Disguise.
Contradict, that's what I said.
But see, those are two different. So wait, the definition was disguise or contradict, but to me, those are two different things.
Well, they are, but a word can do more than one thing.
Because the
Fail to give a true notion or impression.
Fail to give a true notion.
So
okay.
Either of those.
But see, then to say to contradict
is different. That's different.
Because what that means is to say that the truth is the opposite of what it was claimed to be. Like, I think that's where I have trouble with it. Is I see both usages. It puzzles me.
Well, I'll tell you, because to know that your great brain struggles on occasion with something
I didn't
so
exactly hit it
simple.
out of the park with lugubrious, to be honest with you. So.
Well, neither of us did.
I'm actually demonstrably getting dumber. I can feel it happen. I can hear the brain cells dying in the small hours of the night. It's this kid. That's what's doing it.
I refer you to my brother's book.
Yeah.
Losing It.
Yeah.
No, your brain cells are dying.
I know. I realize.
They're ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
And you know what else they're doing? They're drying up. They're drying up. I mean, you're losing moisture.
Well, I think I do a pretty good job of keeping my brain lubricated, if you know what I mean.
Here's the thing. Because we do know that lack of sleep will affect your head. And as a parent of a young child, that's the reality for you.
Yeah.
You're exhausted.
Well, it's interesting. Before we had our kid, I came across a quote by a German philosopher who said, "When the child is born, the parents begin to die." And at the time, I thought, oh, that's your typical German philosopher statement. It's this existential thing about how you're no longer living for yourself. You're sort of subordinating your own identity to that of your child, blah, 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 blah.
No, he's being
Now
very...
I'm 11 months into it, and I realized that what that German was trying to tell us is having children kills you. It's not some existential German, Weltschmerz thing. It's just you are screwed, buddy boy.
Well, I think what being a parent is more than anything is worry. Back to worry.
Right. See,
I think a parent, for a parent to get beyond just constant worry takes a lot of. That's why I'm hanging on to Irma Bombeck right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just constant worry.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And it only gets worse.
Yeah,
it
thanks.
gets worse.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps telling me, and I'm not sure why that's supposed to make me feel better. Because
no, it's not. I said that to make you feel worse.
Okay, all right. Well, at least you're the one honest person then who's told me that.
Okay, so
yes,
I was getting nervous there that Orie was going to walk because of
that thing over the weekend.
Yeah. So, shall we start a lottery of when the justice gets indicted, or don't you think she will be?
I don't know. It's interesting. On the one hand, the first thing I noticed was all the charges related to her sister. She was exonerated on those charges, the ones that actually touched on. And I think the prosecutor was asked, does that bode ill for a subsequent indictment of the justice? And he said he didn't think so. So I don't know. But on the other flip side of that is there have actually been now felony convictions.
Yeah.
In this matter, it's a little hard to see how. And remember, there's her other sister,
Janine, who's like between the two. And I recall reading somewhere that the case against Janine is probably the strongest case, so she's going down.
Yes.
Can you imagine all three sisters in jail together?
Yeah, it's like something out of Shakespeare, isn't it? They're all around a cauldron.
Yeah, right.
Passing an eye around between the three of them.
Wow. And why is there this? Oh, will she get jail time? I don't recall that question being asked when Vian was convicted or when DeWeese was convicted.
Yeah,
so what is that about?
I agree. If she doesn't get some jail time, I'm really going to conclude that God's a Republican. That would just be...
Well, it's Manning's call, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, well, but why wouldn't she? She was convicted of how many? They say, because she didn't have a record before and because of her exemplary public service. Well, you could have said the same about Vian or DeWeese and any of these other guys.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is, remember, it was in Manning's court that this forgery was perpetrated.
That's true.
And he clearly was...
not happy.
Was not pleased at that development. So you got to assume that she'll do some time, and rightfully so. Rightfully so.
And the worst crime that she committed? By doing what she did and getting convicted and losing her seat, she has paved the way for the return of Malicious Heart.
I was just like, oh, you've got to be kidding.
Oh,
not again. Don't we ever get rid of these people?
No.
Don't they ever just go away?
No, they so want...
First Rick Santorum, we got to deal with this guy, and now this. On the bright side, maybe she'll finally get her car out of that garage down in D.C. or whatever. Maybe that'll be some incentive.
Okay, just a little step back into the prior discussion. Ramsey asks, under the Florida law, what happens when two armed fellows get into an altercation? It seems like the one with the fastest draw can always claim.
Yes, I think that's absolutely true.
He was threatened.
Yeah. just like the old West. I mean,
this is what these gun nuts want.
Yeah.
They just want everybody armed and shooting at each other. I mean, if you understand human nature, you know that there are a lot of people who are quick to make assumptions, it will be quick to draw. They walk around in a constant state of paranoia. They especially fear black males.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about these laws. These are go ahead and shoot a black male law. That's what they should be called.
I will say, I mean, in fairness to Pennsylvania's law, I mean, there are some key distinctions there, and I think probably the most important is under Pennsylvania's law, you only really get to invoke the stand your ground provision if you're being threatened with a deadly weapon. Now, granted, based on previous applications of the law, there's already been a case, I think it was in Montgomery County, where the deadly weapon in question was a baseball bat, which I think we don't necessarily think of as, I mean, you can kill somebody with a baseball bat,
yes, you can.
But I think when we think of deadly weapon, that's not what comes to mind. But there is at least this requirement that the person you shoot actually be wielding something. So there's some physical evidence. There's an actual objective fact of he came at me with.
And if he doesn't come at you with something, yet you are holding a gun.
Yes.
I mean, if anyone should feel threatened, it'd be
that other person.
The other guy.
Yeah. But then they can always back away because that's what's supposed to happen, right? I mean,
Michael tells me hope is near. Michelle tells me
hope is near. No, it's Michelle. Don't despair. Hope is near. Oh, no, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. You talking about Barack Obama? I don't know. Hope is always around, but it could be, that hope can be as absurd as the paranoia that's around. You know, some people are constantly hopeful and they're nuts, and some people are constantly paranoid and they're nuts. Why can't we be realists?
And the problem is the paranoids always win in the bar fights. That's the problem.
Well, that's
right?
true.
I mean,
Because, there's nothing like fear.
Yeah.
There's
Nobody punches somebody else in the face out of an excess of optimism.
No, the negative emotions always trump the positives. I'm sorry. I don't care what Jesus said. What?
No.
Are you going to argue the point?
No. I was about to make an incredibly ridiculous argument, so let's move on.
You thought better of it, did you?
I did for once. There's a first time for everything.
Well, shall we talk about the disgusting group that is at the bottom of, if you look at all these laws that are driving us insane now, it's all coming from that same little building in Washington, D.C.
The ALEC people?
ALEC people. Was it American Legislative Exchange Council?
See, just the give and take.
Yes, here. I know you were elected to represent your people, but here, we will do your job. We will write your legislation. We will send it to you. You pretend you wrote it, but it all accrues to our benefit. Good heavens.
I have to say, that part of it doesn't shock my consciousness quite as much. No, because it's also true that very often bills that you and I would like often have key provisions and portions are written by, are suggested as language that the legislator adopts. I mean, I think the better argument is just these are crappy bills. I don't really care who's the author of them. I just think they're, Daryl Metcalf put his name on it. I don't care if Daryl Metcalf wrote it or not. Daryl Metcalf needs to go as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I would argue that I'm paying Daryl Metcalf, and the least he could do is do his damn job and craft his own bill. It's like, I suppose he used Cliff Notes when he was in school, or he plagiarized or he paid somebody else to do his papers. Why the hell should the taxpayers pay him?
Going to college just makes you a snob anyway, Lynn. So I think it's the most American thing you can do to just not do your own work. Pay some other snob to do it for you, and that way you can go through college. This is important. You could go through a 4-year experience and not learn a damn thing, so you're still pure.
There you go.
You get the piece of paper you need for the good job, but you haven't done any actual learning that will contaminate your American values.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what do you make? Okay, so when's Romney gonna, sew it up? Is he gonna sew it up before the election? I mean,
I hope so.
Before the convention.
Actually, I hope not. That would be awesome.
No, yeah, right. No, before the convention. Is he?
At this
Apparently.
point, it seems. I mean, everybody says that's where the math goes, but I don't. I mean, God only knows with that guy. Can it truly? Criminy. Can it truly be?
Criminy. You can tell he's despairing when he gets to criminy.
Can it truly be?
Yes.
That we are
yes.
that this healthcare reform is going to get tossed out, and then the president who authored is going to be replaced by the guy
who
wrote the model legislation on which it's built, and then he is going to. It's like we've come full circle as a country. Like we're just going to go back and just sort of erase ourselves out of existence. It's perfect, and it's all happened in like the past 10 years. I mean, it doesn't, right? I mean, really, it has come full circle that fast. It's just in my lifetime.
You know what? It'll come around. No, and if you're lucky, it'll come around again.
Yeah,
if you're not lucky, this is the fat lady's getting ready to sing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. The reason that she's fat because we didn't want government setting the rules for our kids.
We couldn't tell her to eat broccoli. That's why.
That's right.
Broccoli. And that was Scalia.
That was Scalia.
I mean, come on. What lazy...
Breyer made fun of him. Breyer did. Yeah, Breyer was like, when it came to his time, he was just like, I'm sorry, but broccoli, like, let's deal with issues. Like, he didn't do it directly to Scalia, but he referred to very disparagingly to the idea that we'd be talking about broccoli in the course of this.
Because that's the thing you might expect on a talk show, but not at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Right, exactly. God. Well, what else is going on, Chris? What else is going on? Let me see.
We also have a piece out today in which Steve Bland sounds oddly optimistic about the prospects for.
Well, there's always some last minute save. That
there wasn't a
last
minute save last time around. I mean, the cuts did go through pretty much as planned the last time we went through this debate. So he's got a great line in there because Lauren Daly, our reporter who covers transit, they talked a little bit about the North Shore extension, which, by the way, I wanted to ask you. I was just going to ask you, have you done?
No.
No.
Hey, you know what? I bumped into somebody who used to take the bus.
No.
Works downtown. I won't say exactly where. But since what do they call it? The North
Shore. It's now T+.
Oh, okay. That's something. T+. What he does is he drives in, parks free at the casino.
Plays like one thing of.
He doesn't play.
Oh dear.
He gets on the T+, goes free into the downtown, works, and then free back, free to his car. And I said they're going to get you because you're not gambling. He says, so I'll go in and I'll for 5 minutes and I'll come out. Yeah. Well, why? Everybody's going to do that,
right? Yeah.
How long before the casino people start screaming here?
I'm sure they're going to start stepping up their enforcement, right? You'd be crazy not to. Have you ever gone to that casino, by the way, or parked up there?
I once walked in it. I find casinos. It is beyond my comprehension how anyone would subject themselves to such a vile, cacophonous, tacky, horrible environment. I literally lose my mind in there. I walked in and I was stunned.
Yeah,
at the noise and the ugliness of it and what is that about? It's beyond me.
I like the part, and I don't know if they still have it now that the games are up, but they used to have these sort of fake digital dealers. Are they still there? Okay. And they're like digital hot chicks or whatever, which is just like, that feels like something out of Blade Runner. They're just like these sort of computer animated plunging necklines or whatever.
I have to tell you, I don't gamble at all. Except maybe March Madness, I might get in a pool. But I do not gamble. It's insane. It is stupid. I once gambled once. I went into a casino once. You know which one?
The Sands.
Monte Carlo.
Oh, la-di-da.
La-di-da.
Yeah.
I went in with my sister, and we just went to those slot machines. I start putting in my euros or whatever they gave us. I can't remember. Anyway, of course,
Francs,
I immediately
probably.
lost everything.
Right.
And Susan scored. Yeah. Yeah, she scored.
That seems crazy to me, though. You're in Monte Carlo. Why wouldn't you play Baccarat like in a
I don't know how to play
Bond
it.
film?
I don't
So
know how
what?
to play. I don't know how to play any of those games. I don't know how to play. In terms of cards, the best I can do is go fish. Anything beyond that confuses me.
I'm always... never mind. It's a total tangent.
No, but I really don't. Why anyone would want to spend time in that outrageously awful
People dig it.
environment? What?
I don't know. People dig it.
It gets their adrenaline going, huh? They're
Yeah, I
somehow
think
going to
so.
strike it rich, or
Yeah.
it's
Or
beyond.
they
me.
like the churn or whatever. I mean,
They like the
obviously,
what?
Like just the kind of churn of noise and activity and everything else. Obviously, all of these places are very
It's an adult Chuck E. Cheese.
scientifically designed to prompt certain things. Like, I read an article about it once. Just the extent to which, like, the lighting and the way the games are designed, the extent to which it has all been scientifically honed.
I bet.
To maximize your gambling.
Well, then, quite clearly, I'm an outlier, an oddball. I mean,
Well, I don't think
whatever.
there's any question of that.
Yeah. Well, do you like to get? You haven't gone there, have you?
I've gone there a couple times.
Oh, you
not,
have?
Not recently. Yeah, we had our. We
I
had
don't
our
even know how
best
to
of
work.
party there
I don't
one
even.
year, actually.
I don't even know how to work the machine. I mean, I stood in front of a machine and said, "What do you do here?" I
You
didn't
don't
even
know how to work them. It's just like 3 buttons, for Christ's sake. Come on.
I was confused.
Okay.
I was totally confused. I wanted to say, "Excuse me," when somebody told me what to do
Right.
here, so I couldn't. This is before there were table games. I just went to take a look.
Yeah.
With some friends, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. Oh man, scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all I. Have to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're an advertiser, so.
Oh.
So I want to say it's a pleasant way to spend an evening. Maybe not with Lynn Cullen, but by gosh, folks, it's entertainment for the whole family, sort of.
Hey, I just want to say to be self-aggrandizing.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, over the last year, 2 years actually, I've been working with a bunch of nuns.
Yes.
You know this?
I think I did. Yeah.
Documentary on current immigrants in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And we had our premiere Sunday at the Heinz History Center.
Ooh.
Standing room only, packed. Over 500 people there. And the film has already won a rather prestigious award.
Indeed.
A Telly.
Oh.
You heard of them?
I have heard of
A Telly.
Yes.
A Telly, which is an international award. It was up against over 1,000 entries in the documentary category, including from the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, and it won.
Yeah.
And we did this on nothing.
Right.
No money.
That's great.
No money. All volunteer. Do you believe that?
Congratulations.
Now are
I did not know
you
that.
dying to see it?
I would
It's
like
only
to
a
see
half
that,
hour.
actually.
I'll let you see it.
I would like to see
I'll
it.
let you see it.
For folks who don't know, the Telly is, of course, in honor of the legacy of Telly Savalas.
And what you
So to
get,
have-
you get a lollipop when you win. You do.
Who loves you, baby? Who loves your film, baby? The committee! Yay! Well, and for those who don't know, how can they see it? How can they...
Well, this is what's, we're just hoping that there'll be a lot of dissemination. I know the sisters are hoping it'll be used in schools and in churches and at where people who want to talk about this issue. I'm giving it to our rabbi in hopes that he'll use it in the religious school at our, talking
Now,
about.
should this not be airing, say, on WQED?
Yes, it should. And
will it be?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. It's not my thing to give it to him, but I think I will. I think, yeah.
You should. If it's an award-winning, locally
It's
produced
local,
documentary.
award-winning, and it's a half hour, and it would be a great one to do and then follow with a panel discussion for exactly what QED.
Yeah, you got to. You can't tell me. I mean, I can't wrap my head around QED anymore because it just seems like The last thing I saw to there was like skyline porn. This is the thing, this Pittsburgh from the air. It's just like, So if they got time to air that, they got time to air a thing about immigrants and immigration. And if they don't, I'll tell you what, they're walking on the fighting side of City Paper, boy.
Hey, I just want to remind you.
Yeah.
I might have just gone over after one of your advertisers, but I work over at QED on Friday nights.
Oh, I know you do.
I get a paycheck for that, which is more than I can say from you jerks.
Ironically, that's probably true. Well, you can't expect us to keep up with those nonprofits, Lynn. We're not all in the high-rolling nonprofit sector.
Even the nuns scraped up some money and gave it to me. And I was stunned by that. I didn't actually feel right about that because I had intended to do that pro bono, as they say.
Yes.
But that's the first time I had my hands since TAE, since a million years ago, on video and could write.
Yeah.
And it was...
Congratulations. I think it's great.
Thank you.
And I hope
still have it.
I hope you will keep me personally, and then your audience too, apprised of when we can see the thing. Because I didn't even know. I confessed to my embarrassment that I didn't know this screening was happening this weekend.
It was in the newspaper.
Yeah, I know, but look, let me tell you something.
All right.
I ain't exactly looking for stuff to do these days, but it would have been...
Something to do on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But I'll the thing, it actually needs, and somebody at the premiere came up to me, and I've wanted to do it. All it is the actual immigrants talking. One
right.
to the other, to the other, to the other. So it required very little. The skill was in deciding what order and how they go and when you cut them off and what they say and blah, blah, blah.
People don't realize editing is what makes a good story.
Yeah, right. So...
editing.
Right.
Good editing is what wins the awards.
Editing, deciding what goes where and what goes out and what stays in. But
the writer's a bit player.
As I watched it, I hadn't watched it since months since it seems. I hadn't watched it. I was so moved by it. It's embarrassing.
Right.
I found myself crying twice. But the thing is that of the people that are on that screen, a whole bunch of them are no longer here.
Already deported?
They're deported.
Wow.
And we need to add at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, like a thing. You need to tell people that.
Anna is now,
yep.
Anna Karen, this beautiful young woman who was educated here, who speaks fluent English, who wanted to go to college, who was working for that DREAM Act passage.
Yep.
She's gone.
Wow.
She's gone. She wanted to be a dentist. And so we throw out these people who are wonderful and hardworking and
hot, it sounds like.
She was hot.
Look, people, as Americans, can we not agree that we should not be deporting hot chicks?
No, she was seriously a hot chick. And if you see the video, you'll see that is in fact true. But the pain that these people suffer. And one of the African women, this blew my mind. One of the nuns came up to me afterwards and she was crying. And she said, Soleil was just deported last week.
Wow.
I said, what? Because she, I think, was getting a doctorate at Pitt.
Right.
She was brilliant. And there was some kind of a problem with a visa expiring or what the hell, and off she went.
French-sounding name, that's one strike.
Yeah, you're out of here. And she said, is there anything we can do? Do you know? And she'd been making calls, and, oh, God. It's our immigration policy in this country is as insane as our health care. Now, how come this won't...
I think it might be on this thing.
Oh, no. I don't think so.
Click on that other window.
Look at how low this is. Isn't this supposed to be all the way up here?
Oh, there you go.
That's the problem. You guys have been emailing us, and we didn't even know. Because I'm an idiot. See, you got a thank you there, and we didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Diane
Diane writes.
My husband and I attended the premiere were quite moved. My husband, who is not Catholic, said it was the first time he's been in a room with so many nuns. Yeah, right. There are a lot of them there.
Yeah.
It's been a treat getting to know them and getting to,
What order
work
of
with
nuns
them.
are they?
There's 12 different orders.
Oh, really? Okay, so you got
There are
the whole gamut there.
Franciscans,
Yeah.
Benedictines, this is that. The head spins. Baden, this, that. They live in different places, but there's a tri-diocesan. I don't know. They got a group, and they had started working for against human trafficking,
Right.
and had done a lot of work there, and then moved into immigration. They do good work, those ladies.
Yeah, they're all right.
That's the Catholic Church
Yeah.
that hasn't lost its way, if you ask me.
Yeah, I was just reading a story out of Africa. I think in Harper's, the most recent issue, and not surprisingly, it sounds pretty bad down there in the parts he was in. And there's a scene there where he comes across a couple of nuns who have basically,
Given them.
well, no, they were still, they were like walking down the road, or and he's just like, you find these nuns in these completely forgotten
Doing
villages that
incredible
don't even
work.
exist on maps, still doing this work. So. Yeah, that's the promise of the Catholic Church, I guess. It's too bad.
And it's those women who have done the hard work of the church. They're the ones who they came here as immigrants, and founded the first hospitals in Pittsburgh, founded the schools. They were the ones who, helped bring civilization.
Right. Well, I mean, let's not short the contributions of American bishops who toil in the vineyard by denying health care that they morally oppose. I mean, that's a noble cause as well. So, slugging it out on Fox News.
No, it is really true. I say, I know the Pope's in Havana as I speak or whatever, but they should turn the church over to the women.
Oh, God, yes.
Turn the church over to the women and get it back to its roots.
Exactly. Like in the days of Paul, when women were named alongside men as workers in the faith.
They were?
Oh, yeah, God. You look at his letters.
Well, if you look at Jesus, he had women. None of the, if you look at the Last Supper, it looks pretty white male-ish.
Yeah, but that was painted by a white male, so.
You're right. Who knows?
Who knows who was really there?
And if the women were there, they weren't just serving coffee.
If you look at the letters from Paul,
Yeah.
They very often start with sort of, greetings, having a wonderful time in prison, wish you were here. But they're, to our brothers and sisters, and I'm here with so-and-so and so-and-so. And, a significant chunk of the names he mentions are
women.
female names. There was Paul himself says in Christ, there is no male and no female, no Jew or Gentile. I mean, this.
Well, where did that stuff get lost?
Oh, almost from the
Damn it.
beginning. Almost from the beginning.
And who was behind that?
Bunch of dudes. I mean, the early, first couple hundred years. I mean, there really is the church that existed in the early days of Paul, who wrote just a few decades after Christ. In fact, Paul's letters, although in the Bible they're after the Gospels, they were the first New Testament documents written. People don't realize that actually Luke and Mark and all those Gospels were written
after
the
even though
letters
they're
of Paul.
placed in
Yes, they're placed first, which makes a certain amount of sense because they're talking about the events that inform the faith.
And what
But
about
Paul
all
was
those
the first letters?
What about all the books that didn't make it into the Bible?
Yes, right. Yeah, right.
I mean, the choice of who.
Yes, all those choices, right, were made for very specific reasons. People are into this. There's a woman who has written very interestingly about the early church. Elaine Pagels is her name.
Yes, and she says there was a whole different way the church could have gone.
Yes, absolutely.
And it would have been a better way.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because, of course, the reason the books were selected was because those strains were already there. Some books were chosen to reinforce certain ideas and certain political positions taken by early church fathers, and that's how it went.
Okay. And we end with Kristen saying, "Thanks, Chris. Now I have the girl from Ipanema in my head. It'll take me at least a day and a half to lose it." Howie, stop that. Stop it.
I use that song a lot. I think it's just because it ends up on your hold music a lot. You're like calling the gas company or whatever. It always seems to be the girl from Ipanema.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the one they use?
Yeah, which I like. Why are the?
Is it Herb Alpert?
I don't know. I don't know what recording I'm hearing, but it always strikes me that the anti-immigrant people are always like dial 1 for English, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Why aren't you more mad about the fact that they're always playing the girl from Ipanema? A, she's from Ipanema. She's an immigrant. B,
Immigrant.
B,
and then you go to
push the
Taco
button.
Bell right afterwards.
Plus, pushing the button for English, it takes 2 seconds. The girl from Ipanema, you could be hearing that for 45 minutes. I do not understand the right wing in this country. Even if you want to be bonkers about the right stuff. Now would be a good time to go to the...
Yeah, we're done. Sokolowski tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.